I sat in my counselor's office, palms slick, and he slid a stack of papers across the desk, papers that would change everything. He crossed out an A in my calculus grade and wrote a B in its place. The room seemed to shrink. I was a senior, quiet genius, workhorse on track for a 4.4 GPA, a scholarship, and a college that would have welcomed me with open arms. Mr. Hale smiled faintly and said, "Your GPA is a little too high for the way the school's grading works." "What do you mean?" I asked, heart pounding. "We try to keep the average GPA balanced across classes," he replied. "If one student climbs too high, it skews the data and makes it harder for the rest of the cohort. We need to level the field. I sigma tau epsilon, you can't just change my grades. I earned those A's." He lifted a pen, crossed another A, wrote a B, and said, "I've already updated the database. Your transcript will reflect this soon." The betrayal hit like a slap. I saw the future I'd planned, Harvard, med school, a cure for a disease I wanted to fight, slipping away. "Why would you do that?" I demanded. "The school's policy is clear," he shrugged. "You'll still get into good schools, they just won't be top tier. Think of fairness." "Fairness isn't justice," I whispered, voice cracking. I grabbed the phone on the desk and dialed my mother. "Mom, I need to talk." "What's happening?" she asked, tone sharpening. "Why is my son's transcript being altered?" "My counselor said he needs to adjust my GPA for equitable reasons. He's lowering my grades." She sighed. "Your grades are your sanctuary. If you lose them, you lose your scholarship." "I'll talk to him," I promised, feeling the weight of the gray sky reflected in the office window. Mr. Hale hesitated, then handed me a copy of the original transcript. My 4.5 GPA stared back at me, bright as a promise. The new version read 3.9. The bell rang. My father walked in, his steady, calm, the man who'd worked 2 jobs for a decade to support us. His brow furrowed as he saw the papers. "Mr. Hale, show me exactly what you've changed," he demanded. "The school's data shows the cohort average is 3.65, the counselor explained. A 4.5 GPA raises the average substantially and threatens accreditation. We have to keep it balanced." My father's eyes narrowed. "So you lowered my son's grades to protect the school's numbers?" "Exactly," Hale replied. "It's not a punishment. It's a correction of data, in the best interest of the school." Silence settled. My father exhaled, then said, "If it's policy, do it. But tell me why. Tell me the numbers. Tell me the plan." Hale listed the statistics, the accreditation risks, the pressure from the state education department. My father listened, his jaw unclenching as the logic sank in. When the meeting ended, I walked out with a battlefield of thoughts. I texted my mother, called my father again, and we debated the ethics of a system that could sacrifice one student to protect many. A week later, the school board held a public session on GPA benchmarks. Hale stood before a room of parents and students and explained the policy, admitting that while changes to individual transcripts were rare, they sometimes occurred to preserve a standard. A senior in the back shouted, "Why can't we appeal? Shouldn't we have a chance to contest these changes?" The board chair nodded. "We're listening. We want common ground." Afterward, I watched my parents sit together, not angry but curious. My grievance had become a thread that tied our family to a larger conversation about fairness and equity. I realized that fairness isn't the same as equity. Client's adjustment wasn't a punishment, it was a balancing act meant to protect the collective future of the school. My GPA, taken alone, reflected my effort, but the school's average protected the credibility of every diploma it issued. I took a final look at both transcripts. The original, pristine April 5th, Saturday beside the altered 3.9 that the world would now record. I decided to apply to a college that would honor my true grades tabs, thanking Hale for doing his job even when it cost me personally. The lesson I share is this: when you fight for your own fairness, remember that fairness often has a larger context. Systems sometimes require sacrifices to maintain equilibrium. True worth isn't measured by a single number, it's built on perseverance, resilience, and the ability to see the bigger picture.